this track.
Come on, there he is!
What are you doing? Is that your wife over there?
Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Now, I hear many of you saying, dude, what do you mean we're starting to win this whole feminism thing? Like, women are getting all the great jobs and women are having the money and they get all the power and the control and good, let them. That's what I say about it. I mean, in many ways, yes, it's not a win for men. But the days when it was a win for men, when, you know, it was like 1950s. And since then, it's been going downhill since the 60s. So what do I mean when I'm talking about men are winning this whole feminism thing? I do have an article I'm going to read from, but this is actually the secondary thing I wanted to talk about today. Because I read this article, and it's from a divorce lawyer that is representing the women. And the women are angry, you see, because they feel like, well, I got to take care of the kids and help them with homework. And I feel like I have to do everything around the house. Now, remember, again, this is the divorce lawyer representing the women. After a long day of work, and I toil and I sweat and I come home and then, right? But if you think about it, that used to be the men's role. Man would, now maybe he didn't necessarily take care of the kids in the morning, but he'd have to maybe help get the kids ready for, because I remember, I mean, even back in the in the 70s, my dad would knock on my bedroom door and tell me to get up, and I'd go in, get in the shower, and I'd come out and we'd talk. And yes, you know, I'd have a bowl of cereal. It's not like my mother cooked 5-star dining experience every morning, but my dad was involved even back then. And then we went off to school. So what are the women complaining about? The women are complaining because men are now taking the positions of women in many of marriages, and the women are taking the positions of men. And the women are really unhappy about it. And the guys are actually doing really well. They feel like, hey, I'm winning. So I'll get to the article in a minute, but I have some little personal anecdotes that are actually kind of the important part here. Imagine you're a guy, which most of you are, 95% of you are. Imagine you're a guy and you say, you know what? I would like to see women without clothing on, and I just want to see it on the internet. And I don't want to have to pay any money, and all I have to do is maybe click some like buttons. Now, if you told a woman that, I don't know, 30 or 40 years ago, if they knew what the internet was back then, they'd say, well, what does the woman get out of it? You get a little picture of a heart underneath your photo, and that means somebody liked it. They would say, that is the stupidest, worst deal of all mankind. I actually have something for that. Let me see.
One of the worst deals ever made of any kind, signed by anybody.
That was the worst deal ever. So there's no way men could convince them to do it. So who did? Women. It's empowering. Feminism told them to do it. Guys didn't have to do anything but now sit back and enjoy. Women are doing it, so hopefully people will upgrade to the paid experience on their OnlyFools page. But men can just say, okay, well, I saw 3 pictures of her. I'll go look at, I don't know, 3 or 4 pictures of 5 billion other women, or 5 million other women doing this stuff. Now you might say, well, what about having the girlfriend and having maybe access to sleeping with a woman? Just ask your fellow people here in the comments down below how well that works out, because girlfriends are a lot of work. They require maintenance, just like a car, except a lot more often and way more expensive. You have to take them to dinners when you don't want to go to dinner, and to restaurants that you don't want to go to. You might have to go watch a movie you don't care about. You might have to go, I don't know, to the mall while she goes shopping. Now, a lot of guys say, I wouldn't do that. Okay, but a lot of girlfriends aren't going to stick around. They want a guy to do things there because, it's important that we bond and share time together. And you do all that maybe for, fooling around a couple times a week, having a little bit of fun. But now you don't have to jump through the hoops. You don't have to take her to those expensive dinners and watch the movies you don't want. You can do whatever you feel like whenever you want to. Or you can hang out with guy friends. And instead of the money used on dinner and all these other things, you can use that money to take out a professional. And at the end of the date, you're going to get lucky, have a little bit of fun. A lot of people don't like when I say lucky, but it's an old term. Deal with it. A lot, you know, you're at the end of the night, you're going to have a good time. You might only pay for a cup of coffee or a couple of drinks, or she might come straight over to your place or you go to hers. And most of the time, you can get a better looking woman than you could get in the dating market. The only thing you miss out on is the quote unquote girlfriend experience, which many of you that haven't had girlfriends don't know. It's not all it's cracked up to be. A lot of times it's better just to have some guy friends. And if you say, I don't have enough guy friends, go make some guy friends. So if men said, hey, I want, instead of being some, overweight, unattractive woman down at the corner, I'd like to have like really good looking college girls, and I'd like maybe hundreds to choose from in the area. Let's make that happen. Men couldn't make that happen, but who can? Women and feminism, because that kind of work is now real work. And so all the things that men would really enjoy out of life, feminism has provided to them, with the exception of having a family. But again, that's, we can say that's something we want, but that went away all before the last wave of feminism came in. And then you say to yourself, okay, well, what about this article that they're talking about? Well, what's happened is women now are the bread earners in a lot of these relationships. They want to be a professional. They want to have and make a lot of money. Their career is important to them. And when they have families, the guys say, all right, I guess I'll stay home and take care of the kids. So let's talk about, when I was a kid, or my family. I'll use my family as a perfect example because I remember all the way back to my great-grandparents. We always had lots of photos, and my mother told me a lot of stories about the family. My great-grandmother took care of my great-grandfather and the family. That's all she did. She was an amazing cook, according to my mom. She was an amazing cook. And my grandmother learned everything from her. And my grandmother was an amazing cook, and all she did is take care of my grandfather and my mom and my uncle. So my grandmother had a son and a daughter, my uncle and my mother. And then what changed then is my uncle made the money for his family. My dad made all the money for our family. And my mom and my aunt, when the kids were done with school, or when I should say when they were in school, both of them still did the chores around the house. And then they might go work a couple times a week for some fun money or a little money to help the family, just to kind of get out and interact with other people. But even before they did that, I know, because some days when you stay home when you're sick, when you're a kid, I might hear my mom vacuum for half an hour. I might hear her start the laundry and maybe start the dishwasher. And other than that, it was reading books and relaxing on in her chair, watching soap operas. That's what she really liked, is those corny soap operas, The Edge and Night. I even remember the name of them. Is it The Bold and the Beautiful? I don't know. There's a bunch. There's a bunch of them she used to watch. And then about an hour before my dad came home, she would start making dinner. So she was like a bridge between kind of the old school and modern women now. And now what do modern women want? Modern women want the career, and they're perfectly acceptable to take some beta guy that will stay home with the kids. So if you went back to my grandmother or my great-grandmother's generation and you said, here's the deal. Instead of the husband going off to work all day and you staying home and, taking care of the house, we're going to reverse that and you go work all day. My grandmother, my great-grandmother would have told you to kiss it and shove right off. There's no way that's going to happen. But modern women have been convinced this is the way. And so here in this article, I'm not going to read through the whole thing because, again, it's very anti-male because it's the women going to divorce attorneys, and this is what they're telling the divorce attorney. But what they say here is important. They say the imbalance in the division of labor and financial contributions can lead to an exhaustion and resentment among working mothers, ultimately contributing to the decision to pursue a divorce. A previous study also found that couples are much more likely to divorce when the wife is the breadwinner, while the husband stays home. It sounds like the attorney is seeing this play out right in front of his eyes. So when the woman goes out to work and the man stays home, she's unhappy. They say it's impossible to ignore the fact that this is exactly what feminists wanted in a way. They wanted women to become like men, to provide, to be the breadwinner, and to be the business executives. We're becoming the men we wanted to marry, Gloria Steinem once said. This isn't the only reason that these marriages are ending like this, but it's certainly a big part of it. One could also argue that men have become weaker and more feminized over the years, which is resulting in them being lazy at home and not taking initiative to take care of their family. Now, again, this coming from this writer, it is kind of like, it makes it sound like all these men, and of course the divorce attorney says the same thing, all these men are lazy, they're layabouts, they're not doing anything. But this is the woman talking to the divorce attorney. The writer of this article is a woman. This is from Evie Magazine. But what's the real deal? I think I've got it figured out. In the morning, she gets ready for work. He gets up, pours the kids a bowl of cereal, gets them in their clothes, and out the front door. And then if the place needs cleaning, you can run a quick vacuum, pick up some kids' toys, throw some dishes in the dishwasher. Actually, the order, if you're smart to do it in, throw the dishes in the dishwasher, throw the laundry in the washing machine, run a vacuum around, and, maybe, I don't know, clean some toilets or something or other. But it's not like you do that daily. That's kind of a weekly or bi-weekly thing. And then what do? You're done. That's it. And I know this because, number one, I'm a single dude and I have to do it for myself. But number two, this is what my mother did. And so while she's off at work, the wife in this case, off at work, what does he do? Well, these women are complaining that he's hanging out with his buddies and he's playing golf. But the household chores are still getting done. I mean, a dishwasher was made to make the wife's job easier in doing the dishes. Same thing with the laundry machine. You know who invented those? Men, to make their wives and women's lives easier. Well, now men are using those. And so while she's off at work, toiling away, he goes out and plays golf. Maybe has a beer with some buddies, goes down, has some wings or some pizza with his friends. And then he comes home. He might even cook dinner. Like I said, most men I know are better cooks than women are. And then he comes home, and then she comes home, dinner's ready, and she's like, what did you do all day? He's like, I did the laundry, I did the dishes, got the kids ready for school, picked up some toys, ran the vacuum, cleaned the bathroom. Then I went golfing all day. I got a tan. I went out motorcycle riding with some friends. We went down here and had a beer and, a burger or something or other. Had a really good day. And she's going to be looking at him like, you jerk. I've been at work all day long. It doesn't matter that the household's cleaned up and everything's fine. She's angry because he got to relax while she worked. Now remember, when it was the reverse of this and the man came home all tired and the women complained that, I slave all day and I have to do this and I have to do that. Well, why are things changing now? Because once again, the women have gotten what they wanted and they're unhappy about it. And now they're miserable about it. And it's not men that made any of this happen. So again, yes, the households are falling apart as far as marriage and divorce. That's going out the window pretty quick here. But I say it's not because of men, because men really haven't changed, only until very recently when they've agreed to be stay-at-home dads. But that was at the behest of women. It's not something that the guys selected. So when these women say everything's falling apart and I'm miserable, well, this is what you wanted, ladies. And the men are cleaning up. Yes, divorce rates are through the roof. Yes, child custody is awful. I agree with that. But men know that risk now. They know maybe they need to become a passport bro and head overseas and learn to stay and live in another country if that's what they want. But for the vast majority of men that used to be shamed for being a bachelor, you're not shamed anymore. Hell, most women are bachelorettes. So a guy's not given a hard time for only providing for himself. Men doing their own thing. Women will complain they have Peter Pan syndrome and they're not growing up to become marriageable men. What do the men care? They know the divorce statistics. So what are they going to do in the meantime? They're going to hang out with their friends. They're going to earn maybe a little less at a job, but maybe they'll take something that's manually labor where they can hang out with guys all day at a job site that they like versus hanging out with Karen and human resources. So yes, they're losing some income, but they don't also have the kids and the wife to pay for, so they can buy toys. And when I mean toys, I mean like, motorcycles and bikes and golf clubs and all that stuff. Then when they want the occasional fun in the bedroom, they hire a woman that's probably way hotter than they could ever gotten as a girlfriend or a wife. And when they're bored on the interims, they can go on, website and pull up pictures of just about anything in the world you want to look at, and it's all free. And it's women doing it for free. And it's not the men. The men have not said this, we like this idea. None of this is the men's idea. It's all the women's idea. So the women coming up with these ideas and convincing the world to go in this direction, the men are like, we win. Now, the only involvement that men may have had in any of this is when you look at, the capitalist system. I think a lot of corporations and a lot of these companies poured money into this, and probably the governments did as well, convincing, hey, let's bring women into the workforce. Now we have twice as many taxable workers. We don't have to pay them as much because now as a single person, it's very hard to get by. So I'm not saying that it's just the women. Corporations and, the greedy 1% and 5%ers had a lot to do with this as well. But who's ultimately winning? I think it depends on how you frame it. When you're in this type of community, a lot of times, especially if you're in the dating community, they talk about frame, having a strong frame. And all that means is having confidence in yourself, coming from a place of power and intelligence and security in your own skin. Well, I think the framing on this is simple. Ultimately, men are losing in some categories, marriage, dating, things like that. But if you look at all the things that they have available to them outside of this, I think in many ways, you still might be able to find a win out of it. And the ironic part is, it's not men that wanted to do any of this or asked for it or started it. It's all the women. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a win for men. There's a lot of bad things that we talk about all the time. But something for this weekend, maybe it's time to say, hey, something, let's find a win for ourselves. Let's put a smile on our face and have a good weekend. Let me drop this in here real quick. Don't forget, tomorrow, Saturday night, at least here in the U.S., it may be on a different day for you around the globe, but I have the link to what time it is in your time zone over on betterbachelor.locals.com. We got Saturday night at the movies. We're going to do The Equalizer and The Book of Eli. No spoilers, please, for The Book of Eli, because that's a great fun movie. We're doing a little Denzel Washington special. Hope you come over and join. It's free to sign up. It's free to watch the movies. Now, 90% of it I'm talking over the movie and I have subtitles on. But we're sharing memes. I'm reading my live chats. I guess they call them super tips over there. And we're just goofing about stuff. So that's kind of our catch-up time. So if you really want to watch these movies, watch them on your own. But if you'd like to join us over there and have some laughs and watch a movie in the background while we have some fun, I hope you can join us. I'll have another one out for you here shortly. We'll see you in the next one.